everyone. Good morning. Have you had your first cup of coffee? No, not really? Oh, okay. All right, so we have our first creative talk this morning, and I'll be your moderator. So I'm Angela Chen Dilantar, and I am actually parachuted in from Manila, Philippines. So this session will actually be in English. So this session, I think, is something that everybody cares about because it's about getting funding, right, for our projects. So we will be joined by 3 speakers who are very involved in the funding ecosystem, but they represent different types and different spectrums of capital. So I'm going to welcome them on stage, and I invite you to really actively participate. And I think we won't have an opportunity for Q&A for everyone, but when everybody gets on stage, I'll ask you by show of hands to tell us who you are so we can get to know you a bit more. All right, so first I want to welcome Camilla Hararap, who is the head of arts and creative industries at the British Council Indonesia. Let's give her a warm welcome. Next, I want to welcome Arifin Putra, who is the founding partner at the Habibi Incubator. And you may know him as an actor for many, many years. All right, and finally, I want to welcome Henrik Vincent, who is the founder and CEO of Biz Hair. Let's give him a warm round of applause. All right, okay. So we want to know your interest in this session to really start it off, right? So let's just do a show of hands. Can you show us if you are a freelancer, creator, gig worker, you offer a service in the creative industry? Can you put up your hand? I see a couple hands go up over there. In the middle, oh, very, very, very keen. All right, on this side, okay. So that's maybe only about 10%, right? Okay. Put up your hand if you're a business owner. If you run your own company, you make a product, you offer a service. Awesome. Okay, so that's about another 50%. And then finally, if you are not in either of those categories currently, but you want to work on a creative project and you're looking for funding. Nobody? So who are the others? Okay, in the front. All right, amazing. Okay, so we won't find out about the others, but I think we already have a clear idea of what is the landscape, at least in the room, right? So I've been tasked with a very difficult job, I think, of moderating these 3, just because funding has been a big challenge, not just in the creative industries, but across the board, right? In all industries, in all sectors, and particularly for organizations that are just starting up. So I actually want to start by asking each of you to share a little bit about what is the funding landscape that you see through your work in the creative industries, and share with us also a little bit about what your organization does. And we can start with Camilla.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Selamat pagi. My name is Camelia Harahap, and you can call me Kemi. I'm the head of arts and creative industries at British Council Indonesia. As some of you might know, British Council is the UK's international organization for cultural relations and educational opportunities. So we focus on 3 main pillars, which is the education sector, English language, and arts and culture. And through arts and culture in particular, what we do is we try to connect UK and Indonesian artists, arts practitioners, cultural practitioners, and creative creative entrepreneurs to work together with Indonesian art sector and creative industries. So we do that through a number of different programs. We facilitate collaboration. We provide capacity building and training and sector development, but at the same time, we also provide grants and funding for creative projects. So that is a little bit about what we do at the British Council. And to answer your question about the kind of funding landscape through the lens of what we do at the British Council, I think that at the moment there is a lot of opportunity for creators and creative entrepreneurs to start thinking about tapping into some funding that we provide as a cultural organization, which is grants for cultural and creative projects. British Council certainly is perhaps one of the international cultural organizations in Indonesia and across ASEAN that provides these certain types of funding. But I think in certain cases in other countries, there might also be other funders who are also supporting arts and cultural projects, particularly from government or similar international cultural organizations. So sometimes I think the funding itself can look at quite small projects up to like bigger projects. It's quite a diverse landscape. And yes, I think I can maybe share a bit more about that as we go on with this panel today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cami. So maybe we can now go to Henrik, who can tell us a little bit about what you see on your platform.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Henrik Vincent. People usually call me Vincent. I'm the founder and CEO of BShare. Yeah, we are doing digital private equity and a securities crowdfunding platform licensed by the Financial Service Authority, OJK. And we invested right now around 200 billion rupiah so far to 130 businesses across Indonesia with 200,000 registered investors across Indonesia. So yeah, we have funded several creative businesses as well, such as films and also F&B businesses, fashion industry, and many more. We are focusing on SMEs and franchise business since 2017 and 18. And we are looking for businesses, creative businesses across Indonesia to be funded to our investor, individuals, and also institutional investors using several type of investment. Some of them are equity investment, some of them are loan and bonds or sukuk Sharia bonds. So there are many kind of type of investment. So answering your question about the funding landscape right now, actually for creative workers right now, there are several options already in the market, such as like angel investors, such as my bro here, and the other kind of investors focusing on impact, for example, or maybe the creative industry, or maybe you can go like such as BShare as a crowdfunding platform as an options, and also maybe you can go for the other grants such as here, and also the other options. So I think the most important thing is what's your vision about, and how you can achieve that using the funding as tools to achieve your goals, basically. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll start calling you Vincent now. Yeah. All right. So I know you mentioned the angel investor part, and we chatted earlier about how maybe going to get angel investment or going for a VC similar type of funding is not the first thing that someone should think of. Could you share with us a bit in the landscape of what you see of the funding opportunity?
Okay. Hi. So maybe just very quickly. So my name is Arifin Putra. I'm an angel investor as Bro Vincent / Heinrich. Heinrich. You have to say Heinrich. That's how you say it. Already said. And also founding partner at Habibi Innovation Incubator, founded by Ilham Habibi to basically stimulate cross-border collaboration between Indonesia and Germany for young entrepreneurs as yourself, and also for you to then eventually go to Europe or Germany. So for funding, I think a lot of you young entrepreneurs, tadi kan ada beberapa ya yang angkat tangan when she asked if you are an entrepreneur or if you are an entity. Yeah? A lot of people now, they think, oh, I want to be a startup, I want to get funding from a venture capital, and then I will give my equity and everything will be great. Tapi if you think about it, actually nowadays there are a lot of UKM, usaha kecil menengah ya, atau UMKM or MSME, that are profitable, that are doing great, they're cash flow positive, and they still want to go to VC. But if you think about it, you don't really need to. Nowadays, you have so many options, gitu ya. So many options. And actually, a lot of times, you don't really need VC funding. You can do great just with a loan from someone like myself, for instance, an angel investor, or crowdfunding, actually. And also, now you have even more options because there are impact investors who don't necessarily need great returns as long as you can show that you have tangible impact, ESG impact, environmental, social, or governance impact. If you can do that, then you can get grants or you can get investments with very low interest or very low expectations as long as you achieve certain impact parameters and KPIs. So there's so many options out there, what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to always go with the VC model. There are so many other options out there nowadays, which hopefully we can explore more today.
Yeah, sounds great. So I think for me, if I'm to step in the shoe, right, of everyone here, is what does it take for me to get money from these different types of capital? So what does it take for me to get a grant from the British Council? What does it take for me to apply onto your platform? And what does it take for me to either raise equity or debt money from angel investors? Each of you will have different processes in which you evaluate, right, that opportunity. Can you share with us what is that standard? How can we get more people here over that standard?
Should I start? Okay. So for the grants that the British Council provides, we provide grants, smaller grants, starting from, for instance, £2,500 up to quite big grants valued at around £50,000 for a project. And this is quite a wide range of grants that we can offer. However, the main focus is we are funding and providing grants for international collaborations between certain countries with the UK. So there is always that collaboration angle, and as long as you can look at it as an international collaboration with the UK, then that kind of already ticks the box in terms of our main requirements. However, for certain cases, because we're funding creative projects, then you must have an idea for a creative project or a cultural project that then you can apply for. The processes with us is usually we do an open call, and during this open call, we would have all the information, the terms and conditions, the requirements, the criteria put forth so that you can make an assessment whether or not you are eligible for this grant or not. We will also provide some information sessions and particular opportunities for you to ask questions and discuss with us about your ideas so that we can kind of help you shape your application. But I think for a young creative entrepreneur or a young creator or a young artist, this is an opportunity that is quite good in a way because our kind of funding usually it does not really have any kind of financial or commercial aspects to it. So if you are really just starting off, you're trying to build your portfolio or you're trying to increase more opportunities for you to do international collaboration, then perhaps the grant route, like the ones that British Council is providing, would be a great opportunity to do that. And then while you kind of grow your practice or grow your business, you can look at other opportunities from my bros here on stage with me. So I think perhaps maybe we can start with that and then I can share more about the processes after.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks so much, Cami. So everybody, money is not free, right? When someone gives you money, there's strings attached. When we talk about more of a technical term, is like, what is the cost of capital? And oftentimes, the cost of capital for a grant is your time to apply for the grant, right? Because when you get the grant from the British Council, they don't ask you to pay them back. I think that's the most important part, right? Of course, there are other measurements and evaluation things that we have to take a look at. But from there, maybe we can now explore what does it actually take to access a platform where there are private investors, where the cost of capital is a bit higher. So whether that's from the loans, right, from a debt type of capital, or whether that's equity, which also comes with its own set of cost of capital. Yeah, can you share with us a bit, Vincent?
Yeah, thank you, Angela. So in BShare as a security crowdfunding platform, we are actually looking for companies with three types of business, right? First one is equity type of investment. If you are having a company, some of them are entrepreneurs here. We are looking at maybe if you already ran your business for 2 years, for example, with the revenue around 1 billion rupiah per year. So you can apply at us. So we can help you to structure your company to issuing the equity to public investors or private investor that we are having in our platform. So the advantages of the crowdfunding itself, right, it's not only just the funding itself, right? If you're having the public investor, for example, we have a fashion company that invested by us like 200 investors across Indonesia. You get the exposure and awareness as well, not only just the funding. So it will grow your revenue. For example, maybe the one of the person is your favorite customers, for example. So they can ask their friend to come and visit your stores or visit your works, right? To giving a word of mouth kind of attention as well. So not only just the funding, right? So that's the advantages. So, but the different side is you have to have a very good transparency in terms of the financial statement, how you structure your business, and how you're like giving reports. Because in our platform, it's kind of similar with the IDX, Indonesian Stock Exchange, but for SMEs, right? So you need to like comply in some of the documentations, such as financial report and monthly performance report to the investors, right? That's for the equity side. But if you have some of the projects, like maybe you have win the tenders of the governments or corporations, you can maybe they're giving you terms of payment like 3 months or 6 months period, right? We can like help you issuing bonds or Sharia bonds. So you can like having a short-term loan from the investors. So you don't need to give out equity to the investors. You can just pay back the capital and also giving some of the margins that you already have within the projects. So it's kind of profit sharing model in terms of the Sharia bonds model is called sukuk. So it depends on the on which type of usage of the funding that you need. Either it's long term, maybe you can issue equity, but if you're a short term model, you can issuing bonds and sukuk for the options. So it depends on the usage and what's your goal to achieve your target, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know that there is definitely somewhat a regional audience, perhaps online. So I know your platform, for instance, is like focused in Indonesia, right? And yeah.
Right now we are focusing still in Indonesia, but we plan to expand to regional as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So of course, it sounded like there's a big step up, right, from applying for the grants and then being compliant with all these things, which are a requirement to be able to get somewhat more institutional money. So now onto the angel investors, which oftentimes people hear angel investors are they represent themselves, right? And so no two angel investors are the same. Some people are very cost-driven, right? They work more like philanthropists in terms of what they want to support. So what does that look like in terms of what does it take to get capital from angel investor?
I would say even if you are an impact angel, you still need a profitable company. Why? Because obviously that company needs to be able to sustain itself. If a company is not profitable, it will always be reliant on something like grants. And grants are very good, but the problem is you would need to reapply constantly for grants. And it doesn't always mean that you will always get grants. But if you are self-sustainable on your own by the product or the services that you sell, that means that, yeah, you can sustain yourself. And I guess that would be the bare minimum for an angel investor to be interested in you. I think also what Vincent or Heinrich already pointed at is that you need to be an entity. You need to be a legal entity, which is either a CV or a PT. Yeah? And if you're a CV or a PT, then it makes more sense to either invest or give loans. Actually, if you're a CV, as Heinrich already pointed out, it will be very hard to invest in equity because in a CV you have personal liability, so it's not possible. But if you're a PT, it's share-based, so then you can invest equity. And then also, yes, bookkeeping is very important, transparency. Sadly, in Indonesia, a lot of companies, they don't have very good bookkeeping. It's very bad bookkeeping. Sometimes people have 3 books. Shh. But it's very good to have just one book and to be very transparent about it, and also to have a tax consultant who, when he or she gives you advice, that they can actually quote the laws that are relevant to the advice that they're giving you. Because there are a lot of tax consultants out there who will tell you, gampang, 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 it's easy, it's easy. I will handle it for you. Just give me your books and I will handle it for you. That's very dangerous. And it's very hard to then get funding from angel investors and also from institutional investors. Because the thing is this, the question is probably some entrepreneurs here will ask themselves, okay, I can just go to a bank if I want a loan. Why should I go to you? Well, the difference is that a bank, they will ask for collateral. They will ask for the deed on your house. They will ask on the certificate of ownership for your car or whatever asset that you have, they will ask for it. The question is, obviously, if you're a young entrepreneur, maybe you don't have that. Maybe you don't have a house. Maybe you don't have a land. Maybe you don't have a car. Maybe you have no assets. So how do you then get a loan, for instance? Well, then that's where we both come in. Because then we say, okay, if you don't have collateral, it's fine. But for that, sort of as a proxy for the collateral, we need to have very good bookkeeping. We need to know that you are transparent, that you are actually making money, that you are actually profitable, that your business model actually works. And then obviously what helps on top of that is if you get a purchase order from a company, from someone saying, hey, I want to buy 100 of your comic books, or I want to buy 100 of whatever product it is that you're producing. And then with that purchase order, we as lenders or as loan providers, then we can use that sort of as our collateral, as our guarantee that, okay, if I give you a loan, I will probably get my money back plus interest on top of that. So I would say those are the minimum requirements.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think the theme that I hear across the board is the idea of trust, right? Is how do you build trust? Is it with your portfolio? Is it with your accounts, your books? Is it with the entity that you've set up that can facilitate that trust, right? And yesterday, actually, we heard a talk from the committee ICRAF Jakarta where a question was proposed from the audience, what is the right mindset for someone to succeed in the creative economy? And the answer was quite interesting, is that there are 2 parts. One is you have to be good at your craft, right? So whatever it is that you choose, that segment of the creative economy, be it film, be it the visual arts, be it culinary, you have to be very good. And I think to me, that part is about making revenue. Why should somebody pay you? How can you get customers, right? But the other part that you have to be good at is actually how do you manage a team? How do you run the business? And that part, I think oftentimes as artists and creative people, it seems boring. You know, don't want to deal with accountants, don't want to deal with lawyers, don't want to look at contracts, right? But from what I hear, all those things are actually the backbone of how to access funding. So now I want to actually turn to each of you to give 1 or 2 examples from what you see from your organizations of someone who has been successful. What was that journey? What did that look like? What was the project in which they got funding for? And can you share with us a bit about the key takeaways and the lessons learned from how they tapped into that funding?
Should I start again? Sure. So I think from examples of grantees or creative projects that British Council has funded, a lot of the times they are individual artists. If they are not entities, like so, for instance, some of them may already have legal entities or they are a part of an arts collective, but oftentimes there are also individual artists who are quite keen on tapping into these creative funding opportunities. So an example is perhaps in the music sector, for instance. We've been funding a lot of music projects through our Connections Through Culture grants, which is one of our grant portfolios under the British Council. And we provide this across a couple of different countries in East Asia and Southeast Asia. So one of the grants that we funded recently is a music project between a pop rock metal band, all girls hijab wearing band called Voice of Bachaprot, if maybe some of you are aware of them. They are really amazing. They're great. 3 hijab wearing women talking about feminism and really, really interesting topics. They have recently collaborated with a festival in the UK called Women of the World, where they did a residency with Women of the World Festival, and they also created a music track as part of this residency program. So, you know, they are, in a way, they are slightly more well-known as a music band and music artists, but they basically maybe hone their own craft. But what has made them quite successful is that they have a person or somebody that works with them that is called a creative producer, and this person is the one who kind of manages and identifies these opportunities for funding opportunities, for tapping into different markets, for performing in festivals, and oftentimes, you know, the best kind of collaborations and success stories is where you might have one person who's an artist, but then another business partner who focuses on the business and how to manage your craft. So I think that kind of collaboration within the music group, Voice of Bachaprot, with their creative producer has been really, really successful because they kind of complement each other in terms of each of their strengths. And that kind of also allows you know, the girls to focus primarily on their artistry and their creative producer to then open up opportunities to get funding for creative projects like ours.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because we can't all be good at everything, right? And so what I heard is the hone your craft and then manage your craft part. Yeah. And then what about you, Vincent, for your platform, the film project that we talked about earlier?
Yeah, so like I mentioned previously, so we have invested in some of the creative projects, for example, like F&B business, fashion, and the newest one was film industry. So we have invested in, in collaboration with Adia Pictures, if you have ever heard. So they're very good producers that collaborate with us to invest together. We invested in a film called Romeo Ingkar Janji. It's the film directed and also produced by Jeremy Thomas, one of the great actors. And also the second one is Tulang Belulang Tulang. So it's kinda cultural kind of films that actually using the culture of Batak as the foundations, right, of the films. And also the last part is also the horror films. We invested in The Hole by Hanung Bramantio. So actually we collaborating with those kind of great actors and also great filmmakers to like produce great films. Together we invested with the public investors. So we have like thousands of investors joining part of the collaborations, and we are in the stage of like producing the films at the end of the stage, right? So yeah, looking forward for the films to be shown on all the cinemas in Indonesia. So from everyone here, if you're looking at the creative projects of or the films, for example, first thing you need to like preparing is actually the tractions of your craft, right? Portfolios and the tractions of your business. So we will look at the historical performance of your business, for example. So maybe if you have like a fashion kind of company, we will check on your financial statement, how many clothes that you are sold at the maybe at online or offline methods, right? Some of our portfolios are collaborating with Jogja department store, for example. So they are creating offline stores there and issuing bonds for having to produce more clothes, right? At Ramadan, they are offer demand, so they are looking for more clothes to produce. So they have the demand proven last year, so they are raising fund for preparing the Ramadan next year, for example. So we have the traction already, and investors know that the business is really good and the demand is there. So it's giving a security for the investors to invest. I think that's the key to having to convince all the investors with your all the works, right? For example, the buyers, a purchase order, that will be really helpful for convincing the investors. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I love the film example because the funders are, in a sense, also the audience. So, you're more likely to then go and promote that film to your entire family, your friends, to watch that film if you're an investor and you want it to be successful, right? And so oftentimes, yeah, we're also consumers of those creative products. Yeah. What about from an angel investing standpoint? Like, is an
So-
example you'd like to share? Yeah.
Yeah, there's an interesting example, actually, as you said, because you cannot be the master of everything, right? So then you become the master of none. So I'm actually a loan provider to a platform called Kaya.id. On Kaya.id, what they do is they enable or they actually manage 300 plus SMEs, actually micro to small and medium enterprises. A lot of micro enterprises, actually. A lot of them in the F&B sector, which is part of the creative industry. And so what they do is, for instance, me personally, I gave a loan to something called Jajanan Alley. Jajanan Alley is basically a spot in a food court in one of the malls in Indonesia, and they have a quota of 20 tenants, right? And then those 20 tenants, they operate them and help them run the whole business. So basically the owners, some of them maybe are an entity, some of them maybe are just individuals, hence micro enterprises. And they tell them to just focus on the product itself, whether it's, I don't know, whether it's iced tea, whether it's bakso, whether it's satay, or whatever it is. You focus on that, you focus on the operations, and everything else we take care of. So for instance, they handle the marketing, they handle the social media, they handle the product quality itself. So they check the product quality, and then they do market research to find out if it's already selling well or not. They check the sales. They do an escrow account. So basically all the money comes in through an escrow account, and they help them to do financial planning because, again, a lot of small business owners in Indonesia, what they do is when they get a little bit of money, they're like, beli tanah, I want to buy land, I want to invest. Or, oh, I have some friends and family who need money. Okay, I will give them money first. And then all of a sudden, there's a blurred line between your personal finances and your business finances. And what I like about this platform, Kaya.id, is that they give them tough love. They say, no, it has to be separate. Business is business, personal is personal. If you want, we can set a salary for you. We can set a fee, a fixed fee per month for you. But then the rest, yeah, we manage it for you. And it works. And then these micro entrepreneurs, eventually they become small entrepreneurs or medium entrepreneurs, which I think is absolutely fascinating. And I think that could also be a way forward because, for instance, this platform, what they do is they give loans, yes, but they don't necessarily take equity in the beginning, but in the beginning is actually revenue sharing. So that, both of you are invested in this company, and obviously the better the company does, the better everyone does. So I think that's a very interesting model as well.
Yeah, I love that. It sounded like the creative producer in the case of the band that became an aggregated, right? They're basically solving the problem of I'm a person that is looking for a creative producer for my craft, and that platform is serving it for a lot of people. Wow, that's really great. So we have, I think, time for one more question, and then we can actually take one question from the audience. I just wanted to see if the team can help us give a mic later for a public Q&A. But we'll just do, one last question. So yeah, we heard...
You can throw the mic.
Yeah, whoever, if you reach up your hand, let me know. So I want to ask each of you, I know that you, of course, like represent the organization that you're part of, but taking that hat off, I guess, a little bit, for you, given that you see a lot of different pitches, right? For Camille, it's grant portfolios, right? It's different individual artists that want to get funding on the platform. A lot of people apply. I'm sure you get personally, approached by a lot of people. What are you the most excited about in the creative economy? What is one area, because there are the 17 segments, right, that are outlined? What is something that you feel needs more funding, deserves more funding, and you would put your, I don't want to commit you to personal money, but you would fund that idea. Maybe that can actually help the audience position themselves.
Well, if I'm speaking on behalf of myself, I'm somebody who has a lot of really diverse interests, so it's quite hard for me to pick and choose which part of the creative economy sector that I would particularly want to invest in. But I would have to say that for me, it's not quite just a sector, but it's more about impact and the thematics of what you're doing. So right now, I'm really, really interested and quite keen on looking at projects wherever they kind of come from in the creative spectrum that tackle issues around global challenges and social change. So for instance, if a project can tackle issues around climate change or respond to issues around sustainability and circular economy, I think those are the kind of projects that would be really interesting for me. Or even if it can actually add another layer of social impact, such as, are you responding to issues that are being faced by marginalized groups, disability groups, women and gender challenges? That would be even more interesting if you can also address those kind of things. So I think as a creator or as a creative entrepreneur, you might want to think about one step further of not just your business, but what else can you do as a creative entrepreneur that can actually provide impact to your surrounding and to your wider community.
Great, Vincent?
Yeah, from my point of view, actually, if everyone need to raising funds or getting investors to be onboarded, you need to having unique selling proposition like USP, right? What's the difference and uniqueness compared to the others? If we are looking at focus on your craft, for example, and people like it, I think the future will be bright for you, right? And the second one is actually the product market fit. Some of them are actually very unique, but didn't get the product market fit. So it's really hard to sell the products, or maybe it's not needed by the market. So I think it's not really sustainable in the future. So the both of that, I think it's really important for me to looking at the company or looking at the founders to be interested to be invested by the investors. Yeah.
Great.
I personally really like companies that really took the time to think of a problem that society is facing, and then finding a solution for that. Because there are also a lot of companies out there that create problems and then find solutions to the problems that they created. So I really like companies that genuinely look for problems that we are facing and then finding solutions for them. So for instance, right now we're talking about the creative industry, but there's one company and also one industry which in a certain sense is the most creative. So I'm quite obsessed with waste management. And I'm quite upset because basically in at least the local government level, there is no definition for waste management. It's only waste placement. That's why we only have landfills. We don't really have we don't really have waste management processing facilities. because there's just no definition by the government for it, hence there is no funding for it. But then there are certain companies, like there's one company called Sampangan, and what they do is they take mixed waste, they have a company, they have a machine, and this machine uses gasification and pyrolysis, and then they create products out of it, like biofertilizer, biochar, and so on and so forth. So in my thinking, that's the most creative way to create something, because by definition, the creative economy is creating something, a product or a service, by using your creativity or technology. And I think they're doing that just down to the essence of it. They're using their creativity to create something out of nothing, so to speak. So I would really encourage everyone out here, all the entrepreneurs, to really take your time to think about, okay, what are the problems that we are facing and what kind of solutions can we have for that? And then I think just by that, then the business model will come by itself. And then I think very highly likely someone like British Council or BizShare or myself, we would be very happy to help you. We would be very happy to help fund you and to help you make that solution a reality, basically.
Wow, thank you so much. I think that was a really good summary also of all your points of what excites you, that if you start with a problem, you are, in a sense, solving a social element. There is an impact element. And if you start with that problem, you will have product market fit because there are people with that problem that will pay you for it. All right, so we have an opportunity, I think, for 1 to 2 questions. So if I can get the team, the organizing team, do we have mics to pass around? Oh, okay, perfect. So yeah, we can go to the gentleman in the white shirt first. And this is an opportunity for you to ask questions. And also, if you have a project you want to get funding for, can you make a very short 30-second pitch for it?
Elevator pitch.
An elevator pitch, but you're not in an elevator.
Tes, okay. Hello, my name is Adi Perkasa. I'm an independent singer-songwriter. Hello, Mbak Emi. Mbak Emi right there is my mentor. He helped me change my life. So I'm interested in angel investor topic. And as Angela said before, money is not free. There are strings attached. But as an independent singer-songwriter, it's hard for us to find funds aside from our own savings or from grants. So, but as Kak Arifin said, we have to reapply the grant. So angel investor is one of our best choice. And even there is still an impact that we must give back to angel investor. And Kak Arifin also said that it is preferable for an angel investor if we are represented by a CV or PT or even had a comprehensive bookkeeping. So can Kak Arifin elaborate more? Is it possible for us as an individual, like me as a singer-songwriter, to get an angel investor, and what we should prepare then, and what's the impact that we can give back to angel investor? Thank you.
Okay, straight away or okay. So basically, again, as an angel investor, again, I would want to ask you. So, as you said, you're an independent songwriter, but I would still ask you, okay, what is your product? What is your business model? How do you generate income? How do you generate revenue? And if there is an impact aspect of it, like what is the impact that you are creating? And then I guess I would take it from there. Preferably, yes, I would definitely go more with a CEFE or a PETE. So if you do not have a CEFE or a PETE, I would encourage you to have a CEFE or a PETE. In your case, probably a CEFE would make more sense, probably not a PETE. But then you would not get equity investment. You would probably get loans. So then, for me, it would be important if you say you're a songwriter, so I'm assuming that obviously songs are your product. Then my question would be, those songs, one, do you have IP protection for them? Are you the owner of those songs, or are you a white label songwriter producer? Basically writing songs for others and then they sort of own those songs. And then, for instance, it would also be good, do you have certain orders from either other singers or, for instance, from labels, music labels, something along those lines. So I would need to know, do you have projects in the pipeline? And if you do, then obviously it would be interesting for me to discuss it with you, yes. And also especially for angel investors, yeah, it's not just about the funding opportunity, but also how can I, as an angel investor, can I add value to you or not? Do I understand the industry? Can I help you to further your business or not? So that would be the things that I would ask you and the things that we would have to discuss. I cannot hear you, but I'm assuming you said thank you. You're welcome.
Wow, there you go. Already masterclass on what to do next. I think there was another hand up there in the second row. Yeah, we can go to the lady in the white. Yeah, she put up her hand first. Sorry. You can come up afterwards to talk to the speakers. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sere. I'm from Prometheus Interactive Corp. We are a growing game publishing company. So yesterday in the creative talk session with the game developers from Anantarupa Studios and Agate, we were discussing about the limitation or the barrier for Indonesian gaming industry to thrive more. When in 2022, Indonesian gaming industry gained almost 1.6 billion US dollars in revenue. Yet local gaming developers say their biggest obstacles to thrive more is to gain fundings for them to grow and scale up. So I'm just curious about, like, from the angels or VC or funders view on gaming industry, is it not attractive enough? And if so, why? And what does it take for local gaming developers to attract fundings? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's a very segment-specific question. I can actually just quickly share a little bit about what I have seen in the Philippines, because actually in the esports arena, I think Philippines is actually or Indonesia is the biggest competitor, right, in Mobile Legend and in those competitions. Is that a lot of that is actually being monetized through marketing, through brands and talent agencies that have these esports players, and those are the startups that have been getting a lot of funding. From a gaming development perspective, where the companies are actually publishing those games, I think the question is always like, is there an audience for who can play this game outside of the country, right? Because everybody plays games right now that are made by the Chinese gaming developers, and that's actually their sort of math, right? To say, okay, we developed this for the Chinese market, but now we're gonna share with all of Asia, and that makes sense for us. That's at least what I see in the Philippines. Yeah. Would you like to share any insights around that, Vincent?
Yeah, actually, from a business point of view, we haven't have experience in the gaming developer kind of business model, but some of them are applying at us, right? In terms of esport kind of segment, so we have found like esport team looking for funding, something like that, and having a business model for like promotions, ads, and something like that. So it depends. From a gaming developer point of view, I think it's also the fundamentals of the business itself, right? In terms of where you market the gaming platform, or maybe when you're looking at the game itself, right? How the story and products and how your target market is, right? So it depends on the core of the products and also the business model itself, right? I think the challenges of the gaming is actually the time frame of develop the games, right? And also when you're developing the game, you cannot approach the people and users to like having to play your game before it launches, right? So it depends on that kind of sense. But if you have a very good marketing, people can like waiting list for your game, and I think that's the key strong point when you're talking with the investors. Oh, this gaming are full of waiting lists and something like that. I think that's really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Vincent. Yeah, so I think this last point just highlighted the difficulty in pinpointing one type of funding, because all the different creative products is so different. And our time is actually up, unfortunately, but I know there are still a couple of questions, so I think the speakers can maybe take them offline on the side of the stage. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating so actively. And I think my biggest takeaway is just as there is a creative spectrum, there's also a funding spectrum that matches that. And the biggest thing I hope that you can take away is that it sounds like everybody needs their own community to support them, whether it's in building the portfolio, whether it's in getting a good accountant, right? Or whether it's really in, finding your tribe of people who can support you through the journey. So thank you very much to our speakers today, and have a good rest of the conference. Thank you.